Hey everyone! So we're inside today, which is going to be happening a little bit more frequently now as garden season is coming to an end here in Zone 6A and we're heading into winter. But don't worry, I still have a lot of fun video ideas to get us through into the next gardening season. One thing that is going to be happening, I think starting in November, that I wanted to kind of get an idea on how much you guys would be interested in following along, is we are going to be redesigning this room. Now, when I say we, I mean an actual company in Chicago that has really good reviews and actually knows what they're doing. So the room that I'm in right now, I call it the plant room. It's technically a family room, but I call it the plant room because almost all of my houseplants are in it. I've come to realize that if I have my houseplants kind of all gathered together in one area, that I remember to take care of all of them much easier. So I do have a few in the bedroom and I often forget to water those. So one, it helps me in care for my houseplants, and two, it just kind of makes this area, I don't know, feel more like an indoor forest, which I absolutely love. And because, you know, not the only one who lives here, I try to keep everything that I really love, like plants, contained to one area so it doesn't take over the entire house yet. But one thing I do know with getting this room redesigned is that I'm gonna have to find a spot for everything that's in it, I think, while the work is going on. So let me start off by saying that I don't really know how this process works. This isn't something I've ever done before. It feels like one of the most adult decisions I've ever made in my life, and I've been an adult for about half of my life now. But this home that we're in right now is actually our home. So before this, up until 2020, I've only rented. So I've never really been able to make a space my own. I've never like painted walls. I don't think I've lived in a place that didn't have white walls. I've, maybe hung up a few things with nails, but I've never really made any obviously permanent changes to a place that I've lived. So this is both a combination of being very exciting and also slightly terrified, because I'm also not great at making permanent commitments to things, which is one thing I love about the garden is it's there for a season. I can do something different next year. Not so much when you're kind of making changes to your home. So I'll probably show you around this room first, and then maybe show you some of my thoughts. Now, people that are much more handier than me, which is probably 99% of people, could probably do a lot of this stuff on their own. There's not like a ton of changes that I think we're gonna make in here. I think most of it's gonna be like aesthetic changes and not like structural changes or anything like that. So it's probably really easy for somebody that knows what they're doing. I do not trust myself to be a DIYer for anything kind of more permanent in my home, but maybe I will get there someday. So let me go ahead, I'll show you the room first. I'll kind of talk through what I'm thinking. And I will say another thing that's been really great is we have lived here now for 2 years. And I think if I'd gone in with the idea of what I wanted to do, like let's say 3 months into living here, I would have no idea how I use the space. So now that I know kind of how we use the space, what we kind of need that we don't have, it's much easier to get an idea of overall how I'd like it designed. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the room. And then we'll talk a little bit about what I'm thinking as far as how it's going to look after the transformation. So here's kind of a sweeping look overall. Now it is a very large area, which is great. There's not a ton of cohesion going on because basically this has become kind of an area where all of the pieces of furniture that we've kind of collected throughout the years, both before I knew my husband and after, have just kind of been thrown in here. And I was thinking about like cleaning up and putting everything away, but part of the problem is there really isn't a lot of places to put things away in here. So storage is definitely top on my list of something that I'd like added to the room, and I think that'll probably be the only thing that again is kind of more like construction wise and not just aesthetic changes. But because this room is attached to the deck there, and then back there is the other garden, like my main garden area. So basically anything that I have for gardening that I'm not storing outside, has to be stored in here somewhere. We don't have a shed outside. You know, the garage is down at ground level, so it doesn't really make sense to bring everything in, carry it down, carry it back up, especially the things that I'm just using kind of on a daily basis. So definitely storage for any sort of garden related items. And because often garden related items are dirty, I want whatever, so this is where you can kind of tell I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I want kind of whatever we're using in this room to be able to like get dirty and get messy and get banged up and it be okay. I don't want this room to be something that I have to be very careful about where I'm putting things. So let me show you kind of where I'm thinking of adding some storage. So this side of the room, I definitely want to keep like the more sitting lounging area. I actually don't really mind how this side looks. It kind of looks a bit more put together to me, although I really don't like that rug. I don't think it was supposed to be, well, the picture didn't look as hot pink, but it is hot pink. So probably going to get that replaced and either donate or give that to one of my friends. But then over here is just, again, the kind of random stuff thrown together in this room. So what I'm thinking is getting like some bookshelves and storage underneath. Now, I don't know if I'd want, there's a light, so again, more storage for stuff, but I don't know if I want the whole wall to be a bookshelf and storage at the bottom, or maybe I do, because maybe I will use all of it, or if I just want like part of it, I don't know. But again, I think that's where the help of someone who actually knows what they're doing comes into play. But I definitely want some storage over here and some bookshelves for both plants and all of the books, mostly garden books, that I have just lying here, kind of just lying wherever in this room. I also want to replace this folding table with an actual table, but again, not anything that can't have plants on it or be used for repotting. So again, something that can get messy, something that's going to be really durable. But I've had this folding table up here for at least over a year and it gets used on a daily basis almost. So again, that was really nice to figure out that yes, I do need some sort of like workstation or work table up here also. So now over on this side, you can see that I just have like things lying out everywhere that again, I don't really have a space for. So all of my dried flowers from this year that I've harvested, I would love to be able to just to put them on a shelf instead of just on this small cabinet that I think I got from Wayfair. Basically all of my furniture, I think, is from Wayfair most likely. So definitely I need more storage than just what this provides. And then also what I want to do is figure out, I don't know how to explain this, but like the right spots for my plants or nice spots for my plants where they also kind of fit in with the decor and aren't just plopped down somewhere. And an example of that, oh, also, so here's all the cushions that I have to bring inside every time it rains. That I'll probably try to figure out an outdoor solution for. But for example, right here, so these are all of my string of hearts. This is where they sit. One, because I don't really have a place for them. Two, because I have too many and need to give them away. And three, because this is where it gets the most sun, especially in the winter. So that is something I kind of have to think about, is whether these rooms have the right lighting for some of my plants. Now, when I first started buying houseplants, and I think this probably happens to a lot of people, I kind of went crazy. Like I needed any houseplant I saw. I didn't get any houseplant I saw, but I needed like every type of variety. I didn't care if I had room for them or not, or had a spot for them or not. I would get them, I would propagate them. I just wanted more and more plants. And then I realized I was starting to feel overwhelmed. They were all just kind of sitting in random places, and again, not really having like their permanent spot that really works well for them. So last year, I think I went a whole winter or 6 months on a houseplant no-buy. I've realized that I don't really care about the quantity of plants anymore. I just kind of care that they fit into my space and work well in my space. And right now we have in this room east-facing windows, so that gets a good amount of morning light, which works really great for like my pothos, my philodendrons. First time trying ferns inside, we'll see how they do. But my string of hearts really like a lot more light. So I don't know if I'm either gonna try grow light for them, or maybe I just narrow down my string of hearts to a couple and just give the other ones to people that have a better environment for them, because we really don't have a place with south-facing windows that get enough light to really keep them happy unless they're shoved up right against a window. So yeah, that is one of my plans, is to figure out the right spots for my plant so that it kind of supports the decor, or the plant is part of the decor, and not just, again, something sitting randomly on a table for no real purpose. And that's something I like about this side of the room where, well, ignore the drawing gomphrena, but like this kind of pothos waterfall thing that I've created, I really like that. It kind of goes in with, you know, it is the decor. It's not just randomly placed. This plant here, I think it looks really nice. These plants over here, they just kind of help to tie the room together, and it doesn't look like I just kind of threw them there, even though for some of them I did. Something else I'd like to figure out, because we do come in and out of these doors fairly often, especially during the spring, summer, and fall, is to definitely have like a shoe area, a little coat area for when it gets cooler to hang my jackets up, because for the most part I kind of just toss them over here on the couch. So having just an actual place for them, but I mean that I'm probably just gonna get like a coat rack and a shoe bench. So that will probably come a little bit later. Another thing I'd like to figure out is a better way to dry my plants. So I do have this rack, which I've had for years. It has come in handy. I just don't love the look of it. So again, if I can find a way to make something both functional and pretty in the room, that would be ideal. The dried gomphrena here, as I mentioned in that video, I think maybe an option would just be to make like this whole wall a place to dry flowers. I'm not really sure. Again, I'm not the best at kind of putting all my ideas together, and that's where I'm hoping the actual professionals can help me. So that's how this room looks right now. Now I'll talk a little bit about how I'm hoping it looks after the next few months. So basically what the designer had us do was put together a Pinterest board, which I do all the time anyways, and I was just going through and kind of finding images that I really liked. And two things I realized is, one, I kind of want this room to be like an indoor forest because I really like having the colors green and brown in here and just kind of having it feel cozy, but also like a nice working space and kind of bringing nature outside, inside. I mean, I have enough plants for it. So I kind of just want the room to work really well with all the plants that I do have. What I've also realized is that I really like monochromatic color schemes. So basically different shades of the same color. I found that I was drawn a lot towards photos that had like green walls, green furniture, like this couch that I really like. That is another thing too, like the couch, the chairs, I really hope to keep this furniture, whereas like the tables that I've had for years that are just kind of thrown about, I'm fine with getting rid of those and donating them. But you know, a lot of green walls, green furniture, a lot of browns, and that again is what I'm kind of seeing for this room. Now I'll throw a few images up on the screen of what I had pinned, and I actually was excited because the designer said it was very clear to tell what I wanted from the things that I have pinned. So hopefully that makes things easier when it comes to the actual designing process. So in these pictures though, the walls were very dark green, and even though I really like that look, and I think this room is probably large enough to support it, I don't want to have a dark color in here because dark colors are going to absorb the light, and I want to make sure that the light in here is reflecting off of the color of the walls so that it, you know, reaches back to my plants that aren't right up against the window. So that is definitely something I want to keep in mind. So I think I'm going to go more towards a lighter green. I couldn't find anything kind of had like lighter green and brown built-ins and everything in one photo. So I pinned separately some images of colors that I'm thinking of, but I think I would really like a almost like muddy green on the walls, like a light olive potentially. Again, I don't know if I'm describing any of these colors in the correct terms. So yeah, I'm thinking light green walls, I think all the way up on the ceiling too. I don't know. I think that's again where the designer comes in as far as what will work best in this space. I'm keeping the green couch, the brown chairs, the built-ins I'd like to be a dark brown. I'm thinking probably like the table would be a shade of brown as well. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but that is what I'm envisioning. I have no idea like what kind of rugs would work best. I don't know what like other sort of end tables would work best, or if I need end tables. So that's kind of the thing where like I know kind of the color of the walls I want, the colors I want in this room, and don't really know much else. Something I would like to do too is I have a bunch of paintings, not expensive paintings, like paintings I've gotten from thrift stores, and I only have 3 hanging up in here, and I have some other ones, but that's again something that like either I just can't commit to or my brain doesn't really know how to put together things in a way that looks really pretty. So again, hoping that the professional can help me out with that. So that's kind of everything for my vision, I guess. If you have any recommendations, I would love to know them down below in the comment section. I think the next steps right now as far as working with the team is, so it's October now, they've already come in and taken measurements of the room. November, I think, is when we start meeting to actually like look at the computer images of the design and make changes until we settle on something. And then they come in and start working. So I'm assuming when they do that, I am gonna have to find a spot for everything that's in here. I don't know if you can just like shove stuff towards the center. I don't know how this works, but I'm kind of getting ready for the idea that I'm gonna have to move all my plants somewhere else. And that's another reason why, well, it's the main reason why with a lot of the things in my garden that I brought in last year, like I overwintered a lot of herbs last year. I brought in some other plants last year, whereas now I think I've only brought in my 2 ferns and my lemon tree, because I know that I'm not gonna have a lot of space available while people are here working. So I didn't want to have to bring in a lot of stuff that then I would have to move somewhere else and not really know where I'm going to store it. I'm a little nervous about my lemon tree because I keep it under the grow light, and I assume for part of this I'm going to have to keep it not under the grow light. So we'll see kind of how all of this unfolds. But I would really like to know how much of this process you'd be interested in seeing. I really like seeing it in other people's homes. So let me know what you think below. I can either kind of update you throughout the process or just show you all at the end. So let me know either way. Let me know if you've done something like this before and any tips that you have, and let me know if you have any sort of recommendations for things that you think would work really well in this room. So that is everything. I'm very excited. It's going to be another great way to kind of keep me busy through the winter months when I'm not out in the garden. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.